Hello, friends. We're back with our fourth chat about UU ritual at home. And today we want to share the feelings check-in we do during our RE classes to sort of help a conversation about making space for our genuine selves and how sometimes that's a really radical act.
Yeah, I'd like to share a story sort of about this ritual and how it goes in our classrooms. And those of you adults who have volunteered in classrooms before may have had the opportunity to witness this ritual. And I know that there are some kids that have talked about doing this ritual at home too, so you may have seen it there. But generally what we do when we gather together, whether it's on Zoom or together in a physical classroom space, is we light our chalice, and we tell our children and youth that when we light our chalice, what we're doing is we're naming the space and time that we share as sacred. And so it's like creating a threshold, right? So that we can take a breath together, we can enter into a space outside of whatever was out there. We're gathering together in a new sacred space. And then we invite everybody to take a stone or an object and to hold it in their hand and to take a breath and to feel the weight of it and to think about what it is that they're bringing with them into the space that we're sharing. And so we tell them it can be something that's silly, it can be something that they're worried about, something that happened before, something that they're thinking about that's coming up in the future. But we invite them to think about what it is that they're holding in their hearts, what they're bringing with them into the space together. And we always tell them it's okay to pass if they want to. And so we go around the circle and we invite them to say their name, their pronoun, and one thing they're bringing with them. And so they say, my name is, my pronoun is, and one thing I'm bringing with me today is. And often when we first start this ritual in a class and they're just learning it, the answers are sort of like more concrete, right? They're what's sort of at the top of their brain at the moment. So sometimes it's, I'm bringing this stone with me, or I'm bringing with me my bones or my organs. Often it's something very concrete. And then it usually, as weeks go by, the sharing gets deeper and deeper. I'm bringing sadness because I lost a pet, or I'm bringing worry because a grandparent is sick, or I'm bringing excitement because I did really good on this test, or something like that. It's things that are a little more tender, maybe not quite so obvious, but whatever it is that they share, we always let them know it's valid, right? Of course you're bringing your body with you into the space. Of course you're bringing with you your silliness and your tiredness. We're all bringing a story with us into the space. And we invite them to put the stone down on the table, literally at the center of what we're doing, so that we can all hold it together. Because we want our children and youth to know that part of our work together is to hold our stories together, hold what it is that we're bringing into the space together.
Yeah, and it really develops a common language because, you know, if the first time I'm hearing the phrase, what are you bringing with you into this space? Of course, I might start with, what am I physically bringing with me? But then it helps us figure out, you know, how to have that deep conversation with each other. Sometimes, how are you doing today doesn't quite get to the root of how my soul is really feeling today. But having this common language helps us get to know each other a little better. But it's also something that I think people might struggle with at first, just having this sort of vague, sort of not tangible phrase of what are you bringing with you, and feeling a little bit of pressure to make it deeper than maybe it needs to be, because all we're asking for is to be genuine. And sometimes it's really, really hard, right?
Yeah, and I think too, like you mentioned, you know, the language of how are you doing today? I think in our culture, we have a canned response to that. Whether we're okay or not, we often say, yeah, I'm good, right? Everything's fine, everything's good. And it might not be. We're not practiced at being tender and vulnerable with one another. And that's what I hope, you know, we're building together as a community. We need each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
And as Unitarian Universalists, we know that our work is to be in community together. And how can we do the work of community unless we have a common language, a common way of being together? It's a radical thing, really, making space, making physical space, right? When we take the physical object and put it down, physical space and emotional space to be with one another that's a really radical thing.
Absolutely. And I like to think of that as exploring, right? So you're exploring that, what it feels like to make space for yourself. You're exploring how you really are doing in that moment. And I think that word explore comes attached a lot of times to like the scientific method, or some even, you know, the colonial histories and things like that. And so that word comes, that's very, very loaded. And even taking that word explore and taking it to mean something different, something spiritual, something internal, something that exists in a different place, that dismantles the white supremacist ideas of what it means to explore and what it means to know something. That too is really, really radical. So it's not just hold this stone and tell me how you're feeling. It's hold this stone, do this ritual, and do something really, truly radical just by paying attention genuinely to how you are doing and sharing that, so we can all hold it together. And that's so powerful to me. Simply holding a stone and naming what's going on. It's empowering.
Yeah, it's exploration in right relationship, right? Like, I think that that's not something we're used to thinking about. That, and you're right. I think explore has this idea attached to it that's almost a solo journey, right? I'm going to go exploring now, but it's not. Exploring, you have to be in right relationship with the people in your community, the people in the world of all of the universe, right? Everything that exists, we're connected to all of it. So how do we make space in right relationship, explore in right relationship? Yeah, and it's an exercise in listening too. So it's about noticing and naming and sharing and allowing others to hold it with you. But we also get into the practice of deep listening and not dismissing what other people have to say when they say, I'm bringing my bones with me. That might be, you know, I think a lot of parents, especially those who might volunteer over here, our check-ins, might get a little nervous. They might think their kids are just being silly and not participating, but I think it's also important to like, okay, yeah, maybe tell me more about that. Or I'm so glad you're here. Let's hold that together.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, being, yeah, just genuine, and genuine, not just in your sharing, but also in your listening. And I think that's why having a stone as that symbol is really useful, because like you said, we set it right in the middle, right by that chalice. And that makes it easier, I think, to really acknowledge what everyone's bringing with them, no matter what it is, you know, and to hold those things together. And even when, you know, people are at home doing this ritual just in their families, it connects them to the wider church and other people who know how to do this and find meaning in this ritual. And it reminds me a lot of the chalice as a symbol. So lighting the chalice in my home, and it's, you know, maybe just me with my candle, but that chalice represents a connection to everyone else that I know who lights chalice, and everyone else I've lit a chalice with before, and sort of draws that circle wider, right, by lighting that chalice. And I find a similar thing with the feelings check-in ritual, and other rituals as well.
Yeah. Yeah, and I like that idea of like drawing the circle wider, and it gives me the image of sort of like everybody kind of looking towards the center too, right? I think that the temptation is, and I think our training in our society is to enter into a space, but have some things that we leave out, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that we even do that in our church spaces, even when we are explicit and we say, bring all of who you are into this space, come into this space, right? We say, but I think it's so easy because we're so well trained at, well, I'm going to leave that out because that's, I don't know, maybe makes me feel shame or makes me feel sad, or no one wants to see my anger or whatever. But to intentionally say, even if you don't name it out loud, you can pass. Mm-hmm. Know in your heart that you're bringing what you're bringing and that we're holding it with you. And we were talking about just ritual in general as sort of being time outside of time, that Krista Tippett quote, gentle time outside of time, is how she talks about ritual. And it is so bonding, right? To have that space as a family or a circle or even a community not practicing in person together, and saying, no, we name it every time we're together, come into this space. I really, really mean it, right? And then we have to mean it, right? And live into that and actually hold that space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's so different from escaping. You know, it's not just time outside of time in the sense of like, I'm going to shut everything out and ignore everything with my head in the sand. It's really time outside of time so I can center what needs to be centered in this moment. And I can hold that, you know, with others, take a breath, and then face whatever there is, you know, to be faced, whatever is stressful or overwhelmingly exciting, just taking that time to center it before plunging into everything. Again, very empowering, I think.
Yeah, I think especially there's a lot happening right now in the world. I don't know if you've noticed, but I'm sure families, even maybe kids who aren't as aware of the news or feeling the pressure of the election or whatever, they still know it, they still feel it. And this is about, like you said, laying the spiritual groundwork to be able to weather everything happening around us, even if weathering means, gosh, I'm really angry right now. I need to take care of myself and tend to myself. It doesn't mean this stoic, bootstrappy sort of thing. Spiritual groundwork is about holding at the center what's most important.
Yeah. I've noticed for myself sometimes when I'm feeling so happy I don't even know what to say, sometimes just saying, I feel really happy right now. Or when I'm really angry to the point that I feel like I'm about to cry, just saying, I'm feeling frustrated. Sometimes that is just enough off my chest to help, you know, recenter, refocus, and acknowledge and validate myself of how I'm feeling. And it really does come from rituals like this. They have importance and they hold meaning. And I would like to do our feelings check-in now. If you're willing to do that, Amy, and people at home, you can continue it at home as the video ends. So I'll invite everyone to grab a stone or a small object to hold in your hand. And just take a deep breath and hold it. Notice the weight of that stone in your hand. Run your fingers across it and feel any cracks or bumps, any imperfections. Sometimes we even have the kids listen to or smell their stone. Again, just ways of understanding what they're bringing with them, what you're bringing with you. Then we'll go around our little circle and share your name and your pronouns and what you're bringing into the circle today. Then you can set your stone next to your chalice. So I'll start. My name is Nico, and I use my name in place of pronouns or they, them pronouns. And I'm feeling, bringing a strong sense of community with me into the circle today. Amy?
My name is Amy. My pronouns are she, her. And I'm bringing a sense of peace today as the weather turns cooler, and just excitement to see the sun.
Thank you. So if you're watching this, we'd love for you to join in and do this feelings ritual at home. You can do it with your family in your own way, or if you would like to, keep it going in the comments and share genuinely. How are you feeling? What are you bringing with you into this circle today? Thank you, everyone.